3. English mechanic, April 7th, 1899, that according to Australian newspapers, the captain of a trading vessel had arrived in Sydney with parts of an unknown monster. The hide or skin of the monster was covered with hair. The arrival of these remains is reported in the Sydney Morning Herald in issues from February 23rd to March 2nd, 1899. It is said that according to Captain Oliver of the trading ship Emu, he had found upon the beach of Sorrow Island the carcass of a two-headed monster, and that is just a little too interesting. We find that the reporter who told the story dropped the most interesting part of it in his subsequent accounts, which were upon two skulls, a vertebrae, and a rib bone. But he was determined to discredit the find and told that the bones were obviously fossils, implying that the captain had invented a story of bodies of two animals that had recently been alive. When we come upon assurances that a mystery has been solved, we go on investigating. In the Sydney Daily Telegraph, February 28th, it is said that an attempt to identify the bones as fossils had been refuted. Professional and amateur scientists had accepted an invitation to examine the bones, and according to the testimony of their noses, these things decidedly were not fossils. Its skull was more than 2 feet long and was shaped somewhat like a horse's, but upon it was a beak. There are beaked whales, but these remains were not remains of beaked whales, if be accepted Captain Oliver's unsupported statements as to hairiness and great size. It is said that no specimens of the hairy hide had been taken because all parts except the scraped bones of these bulks that had been lying under a tropical sun weren't just what one would want to take along in a small ship. According to Captain Oliver, one of the bodies was 60 feet long. The largest beaked whales are not known to exceed 30 feet in length. Mr. Waite of the Australian Museum examined the bones. He said that they were of beaked whales. Mr. F.A. Mitchell Hedges, in Battles with Giant Fish, tells of remains of a tremendous unknown mammal which was washed ashore at Cape May, New Jersey, November 1921. This mammal, whose weight was estimated at over 15 tons, which, to give a comparison of size, is almost as large as 5 fully grown elephants, was visited by many scientists who were unable to place it and positively state that nothing yet known to science could in any way compare with it. I investigated the story of the Cape May monster wherever I got the idea that I could find out anything in particular. Somebody in Cape May wrote to me that the thing was a highly undesirable carcass of a whale which had been towed out to sea. Somebody else wrote to me that it was a monster with a tusk 12 feet long, which he had seen. He said that if I'd like to have it, he'd send me a photograph of the monster. After writing of having seen something with a tusk 12 feet long, he sent me a photograph of something with two tusks, each 6 feet long. But only one of the seeming tusks is clear in the picture, and it could be not a tusk, but part of a jawbone of a whale propped up tuskwise. In the London Daily Mail, December 27th, 1924, appeared a story of an extraordinary carcass that was washed up on the coast of Natal, October 25th, 1924. It was 47 feet long and was covered with white hair like a polar bear's. I won't go into this because I consider a worthless yarn. In accordance with my methods considering this a foolish and worthless yarn, I sent out letters to South African newspapers calling upon readers who could to investigate this story. Nobody answered. In the New Zealand Times, March 19th, 1883, it was said that bones of an unknown monster about 40 feet long had been found upon the coast of Queensland and had been taken to Rockhampton, Queen's Island. Queensland. There are the remains of what must have been an enormous snout 8 feet long, in which the respiratory passage are yet traceable. These could not have been the remains of a beaked whale. Whatever hip bones a Cretacean has are only vestigial structures. In a sperm whale 50 feet long, the hip bones are detached and atrophied relics of former uses, each about 1 foot long. A hip bone of the Queensland monster is described as enormous. And looking over the London Daily News, I came upon an item. Trawlers of the steamship Balmetic had brought to Grimsby, the skull of an unknown monster dredged up in the Atlantic north of Scotland. The size of the skull indicated an animal the size of an elephant, and it was in a wonderful state of preservation. It was unlike the skull of any, I can't say that word, cetacean, Cetacean, having eye sockets a foot across. From the jaws hung a leathery tongue 3 feet long. I found in the Grimsby Telegraph, June 29th, a reproduction of a photograph of this skull with the long tongue hanging from the beak-like jaws. I made a sketch of the skull as pictured and sent it with a description to the British Museum. I received an answer from Mr. W.P. Pycraft, who wrote that he had never seen any animal with such a skull, and I have seen a good many. It is just possible that nobody else has ever seen anything much resembling a sketch that I'd make of anything, but that has nothing to do with descriptions of the tongue. According to Mr. Pycraft, no known Cretacean has such a tongue. I went on searching, trying to come upon something about a hairy monster, furred, anything except scaled or with a hide like a whale's. London newspapers, July 6, 1913, the lengthy telegram that had been sent by Mr. Hartwell Condor, Tasmanian State Mining Engineer, to Mr. Wallace, the Secretary of Mines of Tasmania, that upon April 20th, 1913, two of Mr. Condor's companions named Davies and Harris had seen a huge unknown animal near Macquarie Harbor, Tasmania. The animal was about 15 feet long. It had a very small head, only the size of the head of a kangaroo dog. It had a thick, arched neck passing gradually into the barrel of the body. It had no definite tail and no fins. It was furred, the coat in appearance resembling that of a horse or chestnut color, well groomed and shining. It had 4 distinct legs. It traveled by bounding, i.e., by arching its back and gathering up its body so that the footprints of the 4 feet were level with those of the hind feet. It made definite footprints. These showed circular impressions with a diameter measured of 9 inches and the marks of claws about 7 inches long extending outward from the body. There was no evidence for or against webbing. In reply to my inquiries, Mrs. Condor, North Terrace, Burnie, Tasmania, wrote to me as asked to by Mr. Condor, saying that the published description is accurate, and that unless there be a seal with jointed flippers upon which the creature could raise itself and run, Mr. Condor could not be altogether convinced that the animal was a seal. I have not looked for record of any such known seal. I take for granted that the seal type has conventionalized so that there is no such seal. It may be that there have been several finds of remains of a large, long-snouted animal that is unknown to the paleontologist because, though it has occasionally appeared here, it has never been indigenous to this earth. New York Sun, November 28, 1930. Monster in ice has long snout, skeleton, and considerable flesh of an unknown animal found in the ice upon Glacier Island, Alaska. The animal was 24 foot long, head 59 inches long, snout 39 inches long. In some of the reports, it was said that the animal was covered with hair or fur. Conventionally, one thinks of mammoths of Siberia preserved for ages in ice, but if nothing proves anything, simply that something is found in ice may not mean that for ages it was preserved in ice.